Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. This week, we welcome Kublai Khan TX frontman Matt Honeycutt to the podcast. Kublai Khan released their new EP, Lowest Form of Animal, on April 1st via Rise Records. Matt talks about how the pandemic led to his move across country and career changes, his instant connection to the hardcore scene, and his inspiration for writing lyrics. This interview happened via the phone, so the audio is a little rough in a few places, but it's still a worthwhile listen. So I hope you guys enjoy hanging out with Matt Honeycutt from Kublai Khan.
To all the ladies working Iowa 80, selling pussy to the chrome on the interstate, living hard life, working long nights, and by every man you ever loved, till your heart died. You're my mother, you're my sister, and I don't have tonight. For every bruise and excuse, I've been too good at hide. For all the fear, every tear, slowly burning your sight. For every moment see you tonight, goddamn.
I'm at work, so I have my work phone on me too. So if I get a call, I have to answer it. So just know that might be a possibility. But
yeah. That's no worries, man. What do you do for a living?
I'm working at a tattoo shop right now.
Oh, nice. Awesome. How you been, man? How has life been for you?
It's been good, man. I mean, the last 2 years have been kind of a trip, but it really hasn't been too bad.
Yeah. Is it weird, like, living in a state, I assume you're still in Texas, yes?
No, I'm in Florida right now.
Oh, you're in Florida? Well, kind of the same thing. Is it weird being in a state that's, like, kind of everything's been more normal than the rest of the country and feeling like you want to get out there and do more, but, like, knowing everybody else is a little on lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, man, I never let that stop me. That's when I first moved to Arizona at the beginning of the pandemic. It was because they were the first state to open up. Like
oh, really?
My whole take on it was just like, yeah, this thing might suck for some people, but it's like, you know, I still got to pay my bills. That the money doesn't stop. Yeah. So it's like, I'm just trying to live in whatever state allows me to work and not stay in my house because that's not an option. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what led you down to Florida?
Yeah, I mean, this was just an opportunity down here that I felt like it was too good to pass up. So I had to take it. Moved out from Arizona out here a couple months ago.
That's cool. Did you move to Arizona for working tattoo shop as well?
No, I moved out to Arizona to become a barber. I got my barber's license out in Arizona and then worked on that for a few months and then moved out here, and I'm doing an apprenticeship to start tattooing as well.
That's rad. You have, like, both the classic hardcore frontman careers as a barber and a tattooist.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, I'm just trying to set myself up for a future once the band is done, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what was growing up like for you?
I mean, I had a pretty normal childhood. It was nice because it was a childhood that was before the internet, so I was, you know, kind of had, like, the whole Sandlot-style childhood of just playing with your friends all day on the block and riding bikes everywhere and doing all that shit. And then it was good. I mean, I grew up in a real small little town. It was pretty relaxed. Like, nothing too crazy about it. And that's, I think, kind of where I got a lot of my kind of slower pace for living was from growing up like that. You know, because I've lived in some big cities before, and it's not for me. I prefer little towns.
What got you into music?
Honestly, I just ended up going to a show one day. I was a freshman in high school, and one of my friends asked me if I've ever been to a show, and I said no. So next thing I know, I was going to a local show at a church in town that was coming up, and it was a bunch of bands from Dallas came through, and, dude, I'd never seen anything like that. I was pretty excited about it, and I made a lot of friends that night, and the next thing you know, I'm 30 years old and still doing it, so...
You were, like, right into the scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was a perfect love, you know?
Yeah. Were you cool enough to, like, Dallas or other big cities in Texas where you could, like, be a part of local scenes? Or was it always, like, this trek of, like, hours driving? Because I know Texas is huge.
I mean, Dallas was maybe about an hour away, so we were always going to shows in Dallas and Plano, and we had a whole bunch of friends from that way, too. And it was just... It was a great time growing up, man. I miss a lot of that shit. Since we started touring more, like, we still know a lot of people, but just the whole dynamics of everything have kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Like go in high school and going to, shows in church basements and at VFW halls, and then everything moved to the clubs, and it was like, this is cool, but it's definitely not the same, and it's the dynamic, I think.
Exactly.
I'm sure the pay is better for the band. Well, maybe. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, the pay is definitely better, which is nice. The older I get, the more that pay becomes a real obstacle, you know?
Yeah. Did you always want to be a frontman when you got into music and were like, oh, this is cool? Were you, like, itching to start a band? Did you always want to be a frontman, or were you, like, a guitar player or a drummer or something first?
Yeah, I had no ambitions of being a frontman. I was always a drummer, and I wasn't very good. But all the bands I was ever in, I just kind of got asked to be in them because there wasn't too many fellows in town that played anything. So it's kind of the same group of guys just being like, oh, well, we need a drummer. You just want to play drums? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I played drums for that. And then the band before Kublai Khan, we kind of figured out that I wasn't any good at drums, and our vocalist was better at drums, and I was a little bit better on vocals than he was. So we switched spots, and that's how Kublai Khan formed.
Yeah, that was the genesis of it, just moving you to vocals and him to drums.
Absolutely.
Was that like end of high school for you, or like college years, or?
I was in high school. There was still a whole lot of emotions and stuff tied with that. Like I said, going to shows early on, like having that feeling of high school kind of attached to it was a cool feeling, you know?
How did you guys get connected with Artery Records?
That was through our management. Whenever we started working with Scott Lee, he was able to get us set up with them. And we were with them for a little bit, and then they kind of started to tank, so we moved to Rise. We've been at Rise ever since, and it's been good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was wondering, it looked like your leaving with Artery kind of coincided with Warner acquiring them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was Artery a record label that you were always, like, interested in being a part of? Like, I mean, I just looked back at their discography today, and I was just, like, blown away by, like, you forget how many bands were on that label that were just, like, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I was kind of clouded just by the fact that we were getting signed. I didn't care too much who it was to, because I didn't know how the business actually worked back then. And a lot of that shit's just bells and whistles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it worked out fine, I guess, for a short time, and then whenever they started to kind of see the end of the road with their label, we had to jump ship. And it was just kind of, moving on to greener pastures.
Yeah. You guys, definitely from a lyrical perspective, you've kind of always had something to say. Like, you seem to be, like, political and very socially aware and conscious of what's going on in what you write and sing about. Has that been intentional, or just, like, you're just noticing all the shit that's happening in the world around you, and that just comes out in your lyrical themes?
I mean, it's, I guess, a little bit of both. Like, it's intentional and unintentional. Personally, I can't really change how I express myself. It just kind of comes out how it does. And that's one thing that people have always commented on with the band. They're like, the vocals are just very to the point. And to be honest with you, I don't know how else to write them. I can't, when I try to do stuff that's super eloquent and fucking figurative and all this shit. It just doesn't come out right. It's just better when I just say it straight up. And especially with this kind of music, it's very punchy and very aggressive, so it all works towards its favor. And it's better to just kind of, if you got a topic to talk about, just be fucking honest about it. If people don't like it, fuck them.
Yeah. 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 Well, what led you guys to Rise Records after Artery collapsed?
Same thing, management. Just working with Scott Lee, he was able to help us out, and Rise was a big jump for us, so it was pretty exciting, and we did that. And like I said, I mean, we've been with them ever since. They've treated us fine. Things have been fine, so it's really not a bad gig.
How did the pandemic affect you guys as a band, and like, did you have big 2020 plans? Because you put the record out in 2019, like, were you already getting ready to like take a step back and maybe begin a writing process, or was it always like 2020 we're going to hit the road hard and then everything shuts down?
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to just start touring because we didn't really get to play too many damn shows off of Absolute. Yeah, so yeah, kind of shit all over that, but it gave us the opportunity, like I said earlier, to start working and find careers, which is something we'd never had an opportunity to do. You know, I've been in this band since high school. I never had enough time to stop and learn a trade and do a bunch of shit. So there was a silver lining to it for sure, but not being able to play shows and not being able to kind of maintain the life that we built for the last close to 10 years was kind of bullshit, you know?
For sure. What led you to wanting to take up being a barber and moving to Arizona?
Money. Yeah, it was really just, I don't know. I was looking at opportunities. I was about to start apprenticing to do tile work. I thought about going back into construction and doing that shit. And then just talking to a bunch of my buddies who were in the scene and were barbers were there, they all seemed to speak pretty highly of it. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. I'm good with my hands and I have a decent amount of conversational skill, you know, so I figured I'd do that and got hooked up with one of my buddies that I'd toured with out in Arizona. And he gave me the green light. And he taught me how to do it, got my license in about a year and a half, and it was all history from there, so.
Confessing loyalty to the blood that I bleed. I claim killing fiction, killing me, troubled times, lacking peace.
What led you your guys' decision to release an EP and not like a full-length record coming out of the pandemic with like the world opening back up?
Well, I mean, we've been jerked off so many times about the world opening back up that we were just like, well, why would we do a full record whenever we could just do an EP? Because we didn't even know if we're going to be able to tour off this shit. So, and plus, we've always kind of just wanted to do an EP because doing records fucking sucks. Like, doing that many songs is just like, especially for it to be our fucking fifth one. It's like, come on, man. Like, let's just do some quality over quantity. We don't need more fucking songs. We just need a couple of better ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And because you guys didn't get to do a bunch of touring on Absolute, you feel like people are going to be stoked to hear those songs live maybe for the first time when you do get out there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. How did you guys get connected with Scott from Terror for Swan Song?
We toured with him. That was actually the final tour we did before the world shut down. Was we were out with Terror doing support for them. So he was a cool dude, man. We all vibed pretty good, and it just made sense to be on the track. So decided to go for it.
So Swan Song is a song that you wrote about the sex trade and the harm from that. Like, is that a theme that carries through this EP, or is it like each song its own thing?
Each song's its own thing. There's like a general theme of just like, I don't know, like blue collar hardship, I guess. But other than that, it's all pretty different, man. Some songs are more personal just to how I feel, and then other songs are a little bit more broad.
I mean, I imagine it would be like easy these days to like find inspiration for things to write about with like there's so much shit in the world all the time. Like, is it easy or does it always feel like overwhelming, like everything bombarding your attention?
It can be overwhelming at times. I mean, and especially I'm not the kind of person that deals well with being overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
it comes and goes, you know.
You guys are hitting the road after this. Are you hitting the road before the EP comes out or after the road with Knox Blues?
It comes out on the first day of that tour.
On the first day of that tour. That's cool. Is that your like kickoff to 2022 and get back out there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've done a few tours coming back, and it's been nice, but this will definitely be the biggest one so far.
That's cool. I meant to ask at the beginning, where'd the name of the band come from?
Oh, it's from a poem. And I say it all the time. I wish we would have never fucking named it this, because it's impossible for people to spell. It's impossible for people to say. We had to put a TX on the end because there's already a goddamn band with that fucking name. So wish we would have had something a little simpler, but at the same time, our name is our name, and that's part of what makes it. So.
Yeah, it's like a common band thing where it's like, yeah, we should have thought differently about the band name that we, especially when you're in your 30s or 40s, and it's like a band name you've had from your like teenage years.
Oh, exactly. It's kind of like getting a tattoo, man. At the time, it's like, this is badass, it's going to be great, and then 10 years down the road, you're like, why the fuck did I do this?
Crushing the head of fate before lies were saved. Kingpins of world crisis, detox, life succumbs to your thoughts. Another dynasty killed by Bill Mills and Medlock's blocks to fall. I hang my head.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.